Hey, welcome back to the Big Rand Show. This is my new segment called Last Week in America, where I'm going to bring you good news stories that happen throughout the week here in America. Things where people are helping people like the homeless, the poor, or homeless veterans, or veterans in general, and just all around doing good things for their fellow Americans. Stories from like I said, helping veterans to the homeless, to even just other small things that have happened throughout the week, or people that have come together to help others in a time of tragedy. And that is what this week's edition of Last Week in America will bring you. Last week in America, after the horrific shooting at the synagogue in Pittsburgh, two Muslim groups came together to help our fellow Americans. And I'm sure there were other groups, but I have not seen or heard about them at this point. I have looked, and I have not found any other groups. If they have, please, if you know of any other group or any other people that are helping and that have got donations together or got supplies together or whatever it was to try and help the victims and their families of this horrific shooting that took place in Pittsburgh, please let me know in the comments, and I will highlight them in next week's edition of Last Week in America. But Last Week in America, two Muslim groups came together, Empower Change and Celebrate Mercy, came together in their fundraiser on GoFundMe to raise money. And who would have thought that they would have raised over $190,000 for the victims of those shootings? Over $110,000 of that has already been dispersed as of November 2nd. So it's not like these people are raising the money and trying to keep it for themselves. They are literally dispersing it to the families almost immediately as they get it and as they've been requested. And I believe that's one of the things that makes America great. America is not a place where you're like, oh, that happened, I'll forget it. No, America is a country and a nation where we come together as a people when tragedy strikes. If you take a look at every time that there is some tragic event that takes place in this country, we come together to help our fellow Americans. Now, we have different views on how to end things like gun violence. But at the end of the day, we do come together when there's a tragic event. Whether it be a shooting or a natural disaster. I mean, take a look at what happened down in Houston last year with Hurricane Harvey. You have people that came from all over the country, all to converge on Houston to help rebuild Houston and the areas that were badly damaged by the flooding. You had people that donated, lots of money through J.J. Watt and a number of other people. And that's just how we do. That's what we do here in America. It's not just a Texas thing or whatever. That people come from across America to help our fellow Americans. And that's what these two Muslim groups did. They saw that we had a community in Pittsburgh who had been struck by a horrifically tragic event. And they stepped up and said, you know what? We're going to help you out. We're going to make sure that you can afford to bury these people. We're going to help you with your expenses that you have. So they raised $190,000 for the victims of the shooting that left 11 people dead. This is the things that give me hope in America, that show me that America is not a land of hate and bigotry and fear. But America is a land of love and respect for your fellow American. No matter the case, no matter what the situation is, you should always come together to help your fellow American. Whether it's being to donate money or to help, just your neighbor. I've had people help me out throughout the years. I had a friend of mine back the early 2000s where I was completely broke. I had no money. And one of my neighbors, when I was going to Stephen F. Austin, brought me a basket of canned goods and food. Those are the kind of things that make America great. Not just our military, not just our economic power, but the love and respect and support that our fellow Americans show other Americans. I believe America is a land of kindness. I believe America is a land of love. And I believe at the end of the day, love will beat out fear, hate, and bigotry. Thanks to these two groups, Empower Change and Celebrate Mercy, I believe they're doing a great job. You know, they're doing good work. And, you know, I commend them for putting this together. You know, because, Muslims and Jews have not always had the best of relationships throughout the world, throughout history. But here in America, if there's an attack like this, they come together to help the other side, no matter who they are. And I think that's what makes America great. So last week in America, some people came together to help their fellow Americans after a tragic event. Thank you to Empower Change and Celebrate Mercy for coming together and raising $190,000 plus. Anyhow, this has been the Big Ranch Show. I've been your host, Jacob Keck, and I'll see you down the road.